Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the three hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
We're in Way Media. Welcome back, Midnight viewers. Father Malone here with a rather somber couple of episodes. At the time of this recording, today, the cinematic world lost a massive figure in that of David Lynch. Maybe not so well known, but also expiring on this same day, which is kind of poetic when you look at his career, was Mr. Jeannot Szwarc. He is a favorite of mine. He directed some 19 segments of Night Gallery. He made the only decent adaptation of a Richard Matheson novel in Somewhere in Time. Yes, he directed Supergirl. Yes, he directed Santa Claus the movie, but he also directed Jaws 2, which I like equally to the first film. That's right. It's the B-movie that the first film was pretending it's not. He was a prolific TV director, having worked on Heroes and Smallville and Supernatural and Scandal and Castle and oh my god. Jeannot Szwarc. Hard to spell, easy to watch. I've gone ahead and compiled all of his appearances on Night Gallery into this special Szwarcathon, a tribute to a beloved man who gave us some great entertainment over the years. The episode ended up being way too long, so I'm breaking it into two parts, and I'm making them both available immediately. The next segment of the show is called Little Black Bag. Now, this was written by Rod Serling, adapted from a short story by Cyril M. Kornbluth. And this is actually not the first time it had been adapted. It had been adapted back in 1952 for a science fiction show called Tales of Tomorrow. It stars Burgess Meredith, Chill Wills, and George Firth. It was, as I said, written by Rod Serling, but it was directed by Jeannot Szwarc. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I'm a fan of his, and I'm sure I just made a fool of myself. But I don't understand French. It's a crazy moon language to me. Anyway.
For your approval now, a painting which has to do with time. Not the brief moments left to our culprits in the previous story. Their years of imprisonment were minute little fragments compared to the time we talk of in this picture. We talk centuries now, and what happens when men from one century send back items quite unbidden to men of another. We call this painting The Little Black Bag.
Did you guys happen to read the story or see the original Tales of Tomorrow?
No.
Okay, well, I managed to do all three. The original short story takes place in the year 2098. Society is split into two factions, super geniuses and the dimwits. Two super geniuses have a bet that they can create time travel, and one of them does it. So just to see if it works, they send a medical bag back in time, where it is picked up by an alcoholic but not hobo.
Alcoholic but not hobo.
Not hobo, yes. So, so he was a surgeon. He was kicked out of the medical industry for practicing surgery while drunk. He has nothing. He does have a little house. Like I said, he's not homeless. And he has a sister named Agnes. Now, he finds the bag. He finds it and shows it to her, figures out what it does, which is from the future. And then Agnes becomes more and more greedy, and he creates a clinic. It's very long for what we ended up getting. He makes a clinic where he's helping everyone for free, and he has all of the patients blindfolded so they won't see the futuristic equipment. And then he decides that he can't keep this information to himself. He's going to share it with the rest of the world, at which point his sister kills him, dissolves his body, and then, it's like the end of the episode. She goes to demonstrate one of the instruments, and then the instruments get turned off, and she ends up killing herself. When they adapted it for Tales from Tomorrow, it became a husband and wife team. Follow the story basically the same, except the woman kills him, and then all of the instruments disappear, and a voice says, no one will be able to use these instruments if they've committed murder with them, even though they haven't set up at the beginning of the episode that they're from the future at all. I don't know. It's weird. So what we end up getting for Night Gallery is sort of a combination of the two stories, except they've given him, instead of a sister or a wife, they've given him this Chill Wills as this way too overbearing guy you just met on the street who you're letting follow you everywhere and help make decisions for you. Mike, what'd you think of this segment?
Boy, oh boy. I mean, as soon as I see poor Burgess Meredith, I'm just like, oh, he's going to get fucked over by fate, isn't he?
Rod Serling just wanted him to suffer.
Suffer, little man. Suffer. I have talked many times on various podcasts about how I dislike when people play drunk. It takes a lot to play drunk very well. And man, when these two hobos just start going at it at the beginning, I'm just like, oh boy. I just was not a big fan. I was more of a fan of the 2099 guy, or 29, kind of enjoying that. I was surprised it's modern, because so many of these stories that we've dealt with have felt like almost some turn of the century or like mid-century kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think, I think a lot of it has to do with I hate to keep hammering on Rod Serling, but like the level of writing tends to be like 1930s. Like he just sort of never, particularly when it comes to someone on the outliers, or it was an outlier of society, like a homeless man or something like Rod Serling has a pattern in his head that's what that type of character sounds like. And so we end up feeling like it's from another time itself. So I don't know if that's what you were saying, Mike, but that's the feeling I get as far as like this episode feels like it's much old, like it shouldn't be 1970 and we're watching this.
Oh, this is what hobos sound like, and they're probably on the back to a Hoover bill.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't have bindles on sticks
with like the 3-year-old growth of beard.
Yeah, and like a cigar on a toothpick.
There you go.
Found this can of beans. Chris, what'd you think?
Hey, we were in the alley together. It could have been me who found it. Okay.
And there are so many times when he could have gotten away from Chill Wills. Like, yeah, I know he was fascinated by the bag to the point where he was sort of like distracted by or didn't recognize everything going on around him maybe. But like at a certain point, like this guy's means you harm, dude. Run.
It has that thing that they can only do in movies where it's like,
one character is in the scene talking to themselves, and then the other character is standing behind them saying their plan aloud, sharpens knife off screen. There's no subtlety to it. Dare I say, even inches in earshot.
It was great to see George Firth in this episode. He's the technician running the future teleportation machine, I guess. He's always hilarious, and of course, he was great in Blazing Saddles. The fool's going to do it.
He's great. I mean, he's not given much to do here, but I recognized him from Blazing Saddles.
He's not only not given much to do here, but like I found myself thinking back to that guy and wondering what he was up to during the rest of this episode.
Right.
Good Lord. And like, I thought Serling innovated a lot of things in the episode as far as like keeping it on a clock, as opposed to, the short story, he like eventually makes a clinic and he gets a clientele and everything. And then the original adaptation was garbage. So I liked the immediacy of having him treating the other like homeless people at the shelter, like, and figuring out what everything was all in one location. I thought that was really good, but nothing really happens there. And I hated everybody.
Well, I think for me, it just goes back to the idea that Burgess Meredith could have left at any point. Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Ultimately, when you have a character doing stupid things continuously, how are we supposed to follow you after a certain point, As I said, clearly Chill Wills meant him harm, and I don't know how he wasn't able to recognize it the whole time. So
I was happy to see Arthur, is it Mallet, who I mostly know him as, is it Mr. Brisby from Secret of Nim? And I think,
yes,
yeah, he was in Hook and other things, but I mostly know him for his voice work. So as soon as he started to speak, I was like, whoa,
right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think this episode really brought anything to the time traveling genre or anything. And like, when I think about Rod Serling, sometimes I think like I don't understand how he had time in the day to do anything, considering how many scripts he was writing and like how many stories he had to even read to get to the point where he wanted to adapt one. So they all can't be winners. This one definitely isn't for me.
But not the last time we'll see Arthur Mallet, because he will come back.
This episode, we're talking about season 2, episode 2, which aired on September the 22nd, 1971, and was broken into 4 segments. Death in the Family, The Merciful, Class of 99, and Witch's Feast. Now, since the creative team is pretty much in place for Night Gallery, it's the one that is going to be rotating around. I want to take a moment to highlight a couple of people behind and in front of the scenes here that we're going to be dealing with. In this case, this episode's MVP is a guy named Jeannot Szwarc, who is the director. He basically directed the entire episode except for one little blackout sketch at the end. He directed a bunch last season. He's going to direct a bunch more. If anything works in this episode, it's because of this guy. He came up at sort of the same time as Spielberg, and Spielberg obviously shot past him and took over the world. But when it was time to make Jaws 2, which I think is a really good movie, that movie gets shit on a lot, but I think it's fantastic. I think it's like Aliens to Alien, and Jeannot Szwarc did that. He did the only decent adaptation of a Richard Matheson novel, as far as I'm concerned, which is a movie called Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve. And then he ended up mainly on television. And I adore him, and we get to see him here, and he's really creative. So I just wanted to.
And he did Red Snow and The Last Offender of Camelot on 1985 Twilight Zone.
Listen,
yeah,
every piece of his work.
Well, you left it out. I just wanted to make sure we didn't forget, since we've already mentioned Twilight Zone 1985.
I'm not pointing out that he made Supergirl either, but
I think you just Barbra Streisand him right there.
Oh boy!
Don't look at my house. Don't do it.
You know what? This is a creative guy, and given this show's deadlines, which we're going to have to talk about a little bit more, I think he did an amazing job here.
And he directed an episode of Columbo.
I'm sure he did.
Lovely but Lethal, which we have not gotten to yet.
Not yet. No, I've reached out to him several times, have yet to hear back from him. So hopefully, fingers crossed, one of these days.
Let him know.
A little American Gothic here, with the accustomed accoutrements to mourning, tombstones and tears, and the somber look of the bereaved. We generally cry at funerals out of a sense of loss. A poor, unfortunate loved one who will no longer walk the earth. He or she will simply occupy 6 feet of it, never to be seen or heard from again. Or at least we make an assumption that that's natural law, and we subscribe to it. But this painting here, and we admit this up front, breaks that law. It's called A Death in the Family. It offers up a new view of death, and it introduces you to quite a family. who live here in the night gallery.
Anyway, Death in the Family was written by Rod Serling, based on a short story by Miriam Ellen DeFord, and directed by Jeannot Szwarc. This one stars E.G. Marshall and Desi Arnaz.
Desi Arnaz Jr.
We just saw him last month in Marco, the Rankin and Bass musical featuring Desi Arnaz Jr. as Marco Polo.
I must have missed that one.
I wouldn't say you're missing it, Bob.
This one is the tale of an escaped convict who takes refuge in a lively funeral home. And this also continues our longest running segment here on the show, which is please, Rod Serling, no more, for he's a jolly good fellow. We fucking beg you.
Even my wife picked up on that. She was like, oh, God, not again.
That's right.
They're tearing down Tim Riley's bar.
Oh my God, that's and I've only started counting at Tim Riley's bar, but I guarantee you, if I dug back again, there would have been another episode, and I guarantee you, there's another one on the way. So anyway, I'm keeping count now. Mike, what'd you think of this one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was this the one that you told me, Mike, to watch for the ending because you didn't understand what was going on, or was it another one?
This was the one.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was really hoping that E.G. Marshall was going to be like threatened by cockroaches or something. But yeah, I like the first part of it. I like when it's, lonely funeral home guy, and this poor guy has died alone, and then they're burying what feels like a very light coffin. So I'm like, oh, well, he kept the body. Okay, that makes sense. Then we find out that he has preserved him incredibly well, to the point where it almost looks like it's just an actor staying still rather than an actual corpse. I know that sounds weird, but the special effects in this are fantastic.
Not like we see that a lot in this episode. No.
Oh boy, yeah. When they were at the end of the episode and everybody had to not blink, it was great.
And Desi Arnaz Jr. shows up, and he's a wanted criminal on the run. We don't really find out anything about him or what his whole motivation is. He finds that E.G. Marshall has this corpse there, and he doesn't freak out appropriately enough for me. I think I would be much more freaked if I came into a funeral home and the funeral director just had a corpse sitting around with a party hat on and stuff. So yeah, and then it just kind of goes on. It feels very rambly to me, even though it's not that long of a segment.
Very loose in structure. Chris, what'd you think?
I think, I would echo everything that Mike just said. You have Desi Arnaz Jr. not given much to do. E.G. Marshall, who, like Mike mentioned, I know him from all of one thing, which is my problem, not the show's problem. But I know him from Creepshow, which, that segment in Creepshow, I know how much you like that movie, Father Malone. I enjoy it as well. That's my favorite segment in the movie.
Ooh.
It's a good segment. It's a great segment. And E.G. Marshall's acting is one of the main reasons it's so good, because he plays that character so well. All of that aside, man, what were they going for here? Like, okay, so he has a bunch of people that he's created a family of. It's like Office Killer, but not good.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's like the same thing. I'm making a family of corpses. To what end?
Yeah. And at first I was like, is that really his father? I was like, no, that's got to be the dude that he was preserving. So, yeah. How does it end? Is Desi Arnaz Jr. part of the family?
Now he is.
Yes.
Okay. They both die in that ensuing gunfight.
Because he goes bang, and then he's like, "Oh wait, I gotta shoot myself too."
I think the gun was fired while there was a wrestling match going on.
Right.
That shot Desi Arnaz, and then Desi Arnaz shot our man E.G. Marshall, and then E.G. Marshall was still alive enough to drag Arnaz to his spot before taking his own and then collapsing.
Oh,
there it is in a nutshell.
Long enough to talk to the cops and let the cops know what's going on, and to have a moment where he's my son.
I like that moment. I don't like that he died. Actually, when I was not convinced that he was shot and sort of jabbering away and looking crazy, I thought, oh, this is good. I appreciate an ending where someone has completely lost their mind. But no, they had to throw it away and punish him because Rod Serling wrote this script.
But you don't understand. The ultimate punishment is death. You don't get that? Like,
No, the ultimate punishment is everyone respecting Rod enough to not touch his scripts that he got through, which is what I assume happened here with Mr. Szwarc. Obviously didn't change a line and, followed the directions. The only sort of subversion to Serling's regular nonsense here is the music, which is bonkers, crazy cool, and completely counterpoint to everything we're seeing on screen. It's like xylophones and flutes, and it's really jaunty. It kind of it points to what this story actually wanted to be, which was a daylight horror story. Like, Serling can't help wrapping it in a fucking crumbling old mansion, and there's a goddamn thunderstorm going on at night. Oh, by the way, I want to mention a couple of someone behind the scenes and someone in front of the scenes. The someone in front of the scenes is in this segment. They've been in a bunch of segments we've already seen, going to be in a bunch of segments. It's one of the most famous things of all time. It's this. That's called Castle Thunder. That was first hit the scene in 1931. That sound effect was created for Frankenstein and has appeared in virtually every horror and science fiction story ever since. A lot in Scooby-Doo and Gilligan's Island and everything.
Bride of Frankenstein. I just heard it in that.
This thing pops up forever. So shout out Castle Thunder. You don't get enough respect, and we all grew up listening to you. And
I was waiting for Roddy McDowall to come into this episode, given that where it's set. Like, there's just one set on the Universal backlot that they shoot all these gothic horror episodes in. Like, that's what this feels like. So goddamn set bound. Again.
So what's up with the stairwell? I mean, this stairwell shows up in the next segment, but then this stairwell is dressed with all of these empty frames. I mean, you're right. I mean, I'm waiting for Portafoy to be like, oh, let me switch these out with another photo or something, but they're empty. And I'm just like, what are we going for here with this set decoration?
Do you remember, Father Malone, that episode of Tales from the Crypt where it was like the writer in the apartment building, and then he was like, I want this woman to fall in love with me. And so she does. And I remember you straight up saying when we did that episode, like, man, this show is so fucking set bound. So is this show now. Like, this show needs to just find shoot it from another angle. Doesn't work anymore because it's like we're seeing literally the same set in two segments. Like, what?
Right. What? And now that's us watching the show and noticing these things and whatever. I'm being a Jeannot apologist right now because I think the shot, it's actually beautifully shot. The guy knows where to put a camera. He knows how to light it. It felt as close to a film as you could get on a set and still match it with sort of the outside stuff. Speaking of the outside stuff, the funeral scene. Okay, there's an opening sequence. I'm going to skip talking about, like, when we cut to E.G. Marshall at the burial of this corpse, these faked putting into the ground. That's where this episode should have begun and carried us from there. And then this should have been between Desi Arnaz and him, like, talking about their situation and these corpses around, because it turns into this, like, first of all, it's another debate of Serling's at the beginning in the form of E.G. Marshall's character seems at least close to retirement. We can agree on that, right? Not his first funeral. When would he ask anybody the questions he's asking them? What about the flowers? Who will come and mourn? Someone must pick music. Who will care? Like, that's day one at the job at the funeral parlor, right? And then 30, 40 years later, you're just like, give me the corpse. Thank you. Goodbye. This crisis that he's having is just doesn't make any sense sort of character-wise.
No, he would be so jaded by this point.
Right. Like, very desensitized. He would be like, speaking of Tales from the Crypt, he'd be like the punishment fits the crime. You remember that episode, Father Malone, where it's the funeral home and it's the guy who's like swapping out legs and doing all kinds of terrible shit with the sneakers walking down the stairs.
Oh my God.
That's the way the character should be. Like, super disillusioned with all this. But then you can't tell an empathetic story about a crazy person who has corpses in his basement. Like, what?
I could have gone with an empathetic E.G. Marshall who also has bodies around because he's a lonely old man and, like, thought they didn't get a fair shake in life and he's going to give him another one. That's not the story we got here. What we got was, okay, I just want to say, when Desi Arnaz first comes through the window and he's sopping wet and he looks like the 1970s, like, always jarring on this show now. Like, as much as Szwarc is sort of pushing against Serling's need to keep everything 1955, which the episode, I mean, until Arnez pops through, if you told me it was 55, I'd believe you because nothing else tells us that we're in the modern age. The speech Arnez gives on the couch, it's like the perfect distillation of everything. I know I keep kicking Rod Serling, guys, but he keeps doing it, so I'm going to keep hitting back. It's the perfect distillation of Serling's sort of dialogue, which is the character recounts everything we've just seen and then tells us what it means. Right. It's like it's asking the audience to be wistful about something we just saw 30 seconds ago. So it's like, imagine a guy like me, a convict on the run for murder. And I end up here at a funeral home and it's run by this cuckoo old man who loves life more than anything. Like, I got to throw in a little hip lingo for the kids because Rod's connected still. But all that. And by the way, speaking of Arnez, and at the risk of offending the guy who has Automan's number, Desi Arnaz Jr. is like the perfect distillation of what you expect the child of actors to be like when they're actually performing. There are exceptions, right? But, for every Michael Douglas, there are like 20 Eric Douglases, right? They're like, and they're so earnest, and you don't want to fault them, but like acting is like mimicry of life. And the way kids act, it's like mimicry of acting. Does that make sense? I don't know. I mean it, mister. Get out of the way. I mean it.
We weren't singing the praises of Desi Arnaz Jr. on the Marco podcast, on the Rankin on Bass show that Mike and I host with our dear friend Richard Haddam. We were not singing his praises. He was the worst part of that movie.
He's real bad here, too.
Yeah. Had he flown on a kite, that might have been something else.
For the whole time, Mike, just in the air
awesome.
The whole time.
Yeah,
hello,
you cookie old
there.
Man. You crazy old. Ooh, I'm gonna get you. I hear everything that you're saying, Father Malone, but I have to say, Class of '99 is worse.
Oh, it's worse, isn't it? Yes,
I think it is.
All right.
But that's like Chris always talks about the world's tallest dwarf. It's like, well, yeah, 6 of 1, half.
Yeah, all right, no, I get it. Yeah. I just I think there was something maybe. This was ultimately just a Tales from the Crypt like blackout, this is what Rod thinks is really shocking, and I'm sure that there was some problem with standards. You want to show like a house full of corpses all sitting up happily, like they couldn't go too far with it, but they didn't go at all far. Like you said, it's clearly just a bunch of actors holding still, so there's no real scare there either. Anyway, did anyone notice the last shot was reversed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. It was really unusual and off-putting, but in a good way. Like I rewound it back and was like, what was that? I would like to look if the candles were flickering backwards, but I was like,
right.
The first time the cops backed out of the room, I went, wow, I guess they were really shocked by. They saw. Like, wait a minute.
I was happy to see James B. Sicking in this. I always enjoy him, even though he was so young in this. It's wild. Can you imagine? I mean, this was when did this one come out again?
This was in 1971, September.
Wow. Just 3 years later, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre would just copy this so much.
Yeah. Tobe Hooper is on record as saying, Night Gallery.
I was very inspired by the Death in the Family episode from Night Gallery. I knew it sounded like Tobe Hooper was here, but no, he's still dead. That was just me doing a spot-on Tobe Hooper impersonation.
That was pretty good, man. You really invoked him. It was an evocation of him.
Yes.
All right. Our next segment is it's The Merciful.
It's a minute and a half long.
I know. It's written by Jack Laird based on a short story by Charles L. Sweeney Jr. and directed again by Jeannot Szwarc. This one stars Imogen Coca and King Donovan. It's basically just a twist on Poe's Cask of Amontillado with a husband and wife, or a wife, bricking her husband in. Maybe. I mean,
and they telegraphed this so early on. I was just like, oh, he's not in the room. She is. She's bricking herself in.
Yeah.
And then it just goes on forever. I'm like, oh God.
On and on.
Yeah.
Phantom of what opera this is not.
Yeah. As she puts the final brick in and it just becomes completely soundproof, I was like, is that really how bricks work?
Yeah, exactly.
Also, doesn't the whole idea of the cask of Amontillado completely hinge on the idea that in the story, he's tied up to the wall too?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much carpentry and bricklaying y'all have done, but you can knock a wall over pretty easily, especially if, now I'm just putting this out here, it's not dry yet.
How unusual.
But she's pretty willing.
But
in
this story.
But
my point is,
version you get it,
right?
Yeah, right.
And it's not amateur. Get it? Yeah.
So dumb.
Yeah.
It was
dumb.
fine. I actually felt a little weird watching it, like imagining myself in the situation. But this is nothing that they did on screen. I just started remembering
bricking yourself into a
and
tomb.
how good it is. The last line of that story is like one of my favorite interactions of all time, because Montresor is the one being walled up, and he says, "For the love of God," and he says back very calmly, "Yes, for the love of God," and then he puts the last brick in. It's such a good line, and anytime they film it, they always shout the line, and I'm always like, no, just say it. Anyway. That was the Merciful. Imogene Coca and King Donovan, husband and wife, by the way.
Imogene Coca, very, very familiar to me, but not through regular channels. I think for me, it's her role as Shad or Shag, and It's About Time was my entree into Imogene Coca.
Wow. I grew up knowing her only from National Lampoon's Vacation, and then later got to see a bunch of Sid Caesar's Show of Shows.
Oh, she's amazing. Yeah. But It's About Time, probably one of the best TV theme songs. I mean, it puts the other Sherwood Shorts series to shame.
Really? I know nothing of this show.
It's About Time. It's about space. Yeah, it's pretty great.
Sweet.
I was just disappointed they didn't say Requies in Pace at the end. I was waiting for it. Come on, give the goddamn source material a little bit more credit, because it's good. This isn't.
Yeah, what I think is funny is that this is based on a short story by somebody else. Like,
right.
Okay, like yeah, right. Yeah, it was just.
I read
Edgar Allan Poe, guys.
Yeah. What if it's a husband and wife and she's doing it voluntarily? There, I rewrote the story. Now on to Mike's favorite segment of this episode. This is Class of '99.
A most unusual graduation exercise now. It's titled The Class of '99. A set of numbers and a pair of eyes. We'll move behind them now to give you an idea why we call the place you're in the Night Gallery.
This is an original script by Rod Serling. Can you imagine?
I can.
And was directed by Jeannot Szwarc, starring Vincent Price, Brandon Wild, Hilly Hicks, and Randolph Mantooth. This concerns a graduating class's final examination and plumbs the depths of what it means to be human.
Oh, boy.
Mike, go.
It's plumbing something. It's plumbing it, all right.
Wow. Yeah. I had no idea what they were going for through most of this skit. And I'm just like, what is happening here? Just this Vincent Price as this proctor for the final examination and asking all of these very bizarre questions. And I mean, it was pure Serling when it became all about race for a few minutes. I mean, it really was about race for, I'd say, 2/3 of it. Once they start talking about this black gentleman that's in class and they start slapping each other. And I'm just like, what am I watching? What in the world is happening here? I was very happy. My wife was all about Mr. Mantooth. She's just like, oh, is that Raymond Mantooth? And I'm like, who the hell's Raymond Mantooth? Just like, he was in Emergency. And I was like, wow, okay, I can really tell our age difference right now, honey.
Mike, please tell me you caught one for that. Bam! Honey, it's because you're older than me.
Yeah.
God.
That's what you get for marrying a cougar.
An actual cougar? You're married to an actual...
Yeah. How do you think I got these scars? Sorry, Randolph Mantooth, not Raymond Mantooth. My bad.
All the Randolph Mantooth fans.
Yeah. His name is Mantooth. That's all.
I felt like I could hear Rod Serling clucking his tongue at me
Oh, boy.
while I was watching the episode. I'm glad he didn't use any pejoratives. I mean, that was my concern, was he was going to say something offensive or have one of the characters say something offensive, because it like verges on it, right?
He wanted to.
Right? He was just, I want to say the N-word. I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
You know,
he did.
What you're saying, Mike, like it seems like heavily freighted towards the racism side. Because when all is said and done, what we're dealing with here is a bunch of robots who are going to be sent out into Earth that has been devastated by some sort of apocalypse. This is the year 1999, and they're going to repopulate the Earth just the way humans would. So they're being taught to hate irrationally. And so when we get the first hate thing, it like the first example of it's like it's a sort of black and white thing. Like, give me a ridiculous reason to hate this guy. Like, well, he's black and I don't like him for these reasons. Then the second one, it becomes about monetary or just sort of a little more aloof. And then the last one is supposed to be this makes no sense at all, like reason to hate somebody. And it just folds back to racism because he picks an Asian kid, he picks Chang, and like he says, well, there's no reason to hate him, but I hate him sort of specifically. So what we're getting is a parable about race, and we're being told by Rod that racism is and hatred is taught. Like, oh my, Rod, we get it. Rod, we get it.
That's why I feel like the meetings were just like, Rod, you can't do what you used to do, man. Like, it doesn't work anymore. It hasn't worked since the last time the show worked. And the show worked, but it didn't work all the time either. And it's shocking to watch Rod Serling fall and continue to fall. It's not Rod Serling's Midnight Gallery anymore, or Night Gallery, but he's still involved heavily. And I wish he wasn't. Like, I wish he wasn't. That's where I'm coming at when I watch a segment like this. It's like, what the fuck is the point?
This script got through. Two of his scripts got through here. He complained that like a lot of his scripts were being rejected or rewritten here. By the way, that's also a fallacy. I've come to find out in further reading. And two of his scripts were rewritten, like sort of ground up, right? Like, and everything else, it's minor changes. It's always sort of like dialogue or an actor improvised on the set, and they allowed it to sort of go through. So basically, what he's dealing with here is his script either gets through and gets made or gets rejected. This is getting through. What's getting rejected?
Right. I have a question. Were the professors, were they robots?
I think Vincent Price. Yeah, no, they have to be, right? Because the whole idea. No. Vincent Price is a human. And then they turn off the rest of the class. So I think they were human because they mention in the really clumsy giant exposition dump of a finale at the fucking graduation ceremony. God, man. Like, if he had just, you know what? If they had left this ending ambiguous and not had the finale thing, we're left going like, what the fuck was that? It might have been something. But anyway, no, he has to hit the nail on the head. So he says that these androids or machines have been remade in humans' image to repopulate the earth for them by them. Like, so I think there are still humans teaching them how to be properly human, like in this, vicious and horrifying manner. So I think Vincent Price at least was human there.
I was so glad they had Vincent Price in an episode of this show, and he did nothing. And this is the only episode segment he's in the entire show.
Yeah, it's good to waste him. It's really good to waste him.
Vincent fucking Price.
Yeah.
Not Randolph Mantooth. No. Vincent Price. Like, why cast Vincent Price? Like, why anybody could have played that role. It doesn't lean on his strengths as an actor. It actually is completely devoid of the charisma that he normally has.
I am shocked that just as the first segment was ripped off, here we have a reverse of this with Mark L. Lester's Class of 1999, which came out in 1990, where it's the teachers who are robots and the students are all people.
Oh my God.
Come on. Where's the outrage about this, people? Come on.
Reparations are necessary.
Intellectual property has been stolen.
Oh boy, Rod. Oh, I will say, if there is anything impressive about this episode, I thought all the performances really good. I think it's shot really well. It also should be noted that this entire episode, beginning to end, rehearsal to final take, was half a day of filming. Wow. That's how much the time they gave.
Shocking.
Shocking.
So that means they spent like a couple hours maybe rehearsing and then another 2.5 to 3 filming. And this is what we got. In that regard, this is fucking incredible.
Oh, yeah.
If you were to turn the sound off and not have to listen to anything they were saying, and you would be like, yeah, that's pretty good. Anyway, anything else on this one, gents?
Oh, I did really quickly want to go back for a second. I apologize about this severely. Chris, our good friend Noam Pitlick is in the Death in the Family episode. The man who has given us so many hours of entertainment as the director of Barney Miller episodes, and also the director of Taxi episodes there, Father Malone. So he is the driver in the Death in the Family segment.
At the one at the beginning, the one dropping off the corpse?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. The one who I went, oh my God, is that Frank Stallone? And then he started acting really well. And I went, oh no, it's not Frank Stallone.
Started snapping his fingers, take it back.
Frank Stallone would have been what, 16?
I know.
Even an acting powerhouse then.
Yeah, of course.
Thank God he wasn't. Oh my God. All right, off to our next segment, which again, you're not going to hear an introduction on this. You're not going to hear an introduction on most of them. Why? Because Rod didn't wanna. But this one's called "With Apologies to Mr. Hyde," written by Jack Laird, directed by Jeannot Szwarc. It's really hard to say, but it's worth saying. This one stars Adam West and Jack Laird. This is a Playboy magazine cartoon from the October issue.
Oh boy, yeah.
You guys want to?
But I love Adam West, just not in this.
He doesn't do a bad job.
Could have been anybody. It feels like he was there so they could go on this week's episode.
Yeah.
Adam West for 2. He's in that on this episode of the Twilight Zone or Night Gallery. He's on that longer than he's in the actual episode. You overpromised and underdelivered, and yeah, it's a gag. It's fine. It comes and it goes as quickly as I wanted it to, which is to say it was like 30 seconds effectively is what it felt like. So good.
Yeah, you can't stay mad at these things because they're not around long enough for them to really register. And plus, in this case, it seems like Jack Laird and Adam West are just drinking buddies and they probably had a conversation. Yeah. And they went, come to work tomorrow, we'll do this.
You want to make SAG minimum?
Sign me up.
I watched an interview with Jeannot Szwarc and he was saying how the Class of 99 episode, like the half a day he got to film that wasn't that common. But if you were getting assigned a blackout sketch, you had 2 hours. That's it. So
you should start the Jeannot Szwarc cast.
I'm gonna.
A deep dive into the career of Jeannot Szwarc.
You can admire somebody and not be a fanatic about them. I don't have to talk about him every week. He knows I love him.
The fan club of what?
If he doesn't, he will, because I'm going to forward these to him. We're going to get in touch with Jeannot.
As long as if you can somehow manage to get Mike White to talk to Jeannot Szwarc along with yourself, it's a success.
Listen, Mike can speak for me as my proxy, just as long as he knows that there's a fucking lunatic out there named Father Malone who's one of his biggest fans, and like Annie Wilkes. No, that's I won't.
Oh yeah, like Annie Wilkes. I'm your number 1 fan. The wife didn't drink the cock-a-doodle tea.
Right.
Didn't.
Which I now know what that is in reference to. So all those times before I sat and didn't say anything, now I get it.
It's a good movie.
It's very good movie.
I'm going to encourage beyond you. I'm going to encourage our listeners to watch Misery. It's a little known film.
And if you have HBO Max, you should watch it on there because they have a TCM intro with Rob Reiner.
Oh, nice.
Where he talks for like 10 minutes about the movie.
Wow.
Fantastic.
On Zoom, essentially.
Yeah.
It's just like in his office.
If we contacted him now, I bet he would tell us some stories.
Yeah. Hey, Rob.
James Gunn. I just looked at him and I thought, let's put him in a bed. Like, let's take all the physicality out of him. Anyway.
From this picture, one wouldn't necessarily conjure up the story of love, but that's precisely what it tells about. The emotion as old as man, but the object of the emotion, this is not quite as familiar. Its title, Phantom Farmhouse, offering number 1 in the Night Gallery.
Now, the first segment is called The Phantom Farmhouse. This was written by Halstead Wells, based on a short story by Seabury Quinn, and directed by Jeannot Szwarc. Stars David McCallum, David Carradine, Linda Marsh, Trina Parks, and Bill Quinn. I just want to point him out because are you guys at all familiar with a ventriloquist by the name of Jeff Dunham? He's got this old man character named Walter, who Bill Quinn just looks like the living embodiment of. It was very odd.
Thanks for reminding me that Jeff Dunham exists.
I know. Look, I didn't want to bring him up or promote him in any way, but
Las Vegas's own Jeff Dunham, you mean?
That's right. He's a hometown boy. Now, this story concerns an unorthodox psychiatrist who investigates the mysterious murders plaguing his patients, and there are wolves involved. What do you think of this one, Mike?
I felt this segment made me feel stupid because I could not figure out what the heck was going on. All these people in this tree and David Carradine, maybe he's a Satanist. I don't know. Like, what? Please explain this one to me because I just was not getting this one at all.
It's very confused, but
It of itself is confused.
but here's what happened.
Okay.
Bear with me.
I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
Listeners, I didn't come up with this. All right. So
No, somebody by the name of Seabury Quinn did, and then somebody named Halstead Wells adapted it, then somebody named Jeannot Szwarc directed it. Those three names together should give you an idea of the, where we're going with this. It's pretty all over the place.
You know what, though? If you read the original short story, Seabury Quinn, who was not like he was a writer, like all of his contemporaries were the Weird Tales guys. So it was like Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft, and like all of the sort of the giants, as it were. And he created a character named like Jules de Grandin, who was like a paranormal investigator. And he's got like a whole series of these stories, and they're all great. In addition to that, Seabury Quinn was like a mortuary lawyer. Like that was his primary function. Like he published a magazine called Caskets and Sunshine or something.
Wow.
And if you read the original story, it's much more simplified. I'll give you the short story version, and and you'll understand exactly what it is. This guy checks himself into an asylum in Maine, in this case, right, which is right across the border from Canada, which is why there are French-speaking characters in the story.
I had a lot of questions. Why the hell everybody's speaking French all of a sudden?
Thank you. That helps.
Pulled over for no good reason.
Wow.
He's allowed to walk the grounds, and he walks and finds a house with a family, a mother and a father, and a beautiful girl who seems dressed from another age, and they have an instant connection, but she's very odd and kind of keeps him at a distance. Nevertheless, when he comes back to the asylum and tells the people about it, they're like, you must really be crazy because there's no house out there, just a ruin. And then he continues going, visiting with the girl and her family. And then there's this business with people being attacked by wolves in the thing, like talk of it. But none of that is sort of put together forthrightly. It's basically, is he insane or not is the thing back and forth, because going to the asylum and they're crazy, but they're telling him he's crazy, but he's actually seeing the people. So they are a family of werewolves, and they are dead. So they're ghost wolves or wereghosts or something. It ends basically the same way. So there's no character like feeding these people or like luring them, or there's no warlocks and all this other shit. It's just they kind of like let him know that family who lived there were sort of renowned as potential werewolves. Stay away from there. And they are, and it's more of a like Romeo and Juliet with the two warring factions, where her parents want to eat him and the rest of them think he's crazy and trying to keep them apart. And then she makes the sacrifice, just exorcise me and my family will go away and the countryside will be fine, but I'll lose you. But if I stay with you, I'm going to murder you because I'm a wolf. The end. Now, how that turned into tree pads and groovy talk and moccasins and Thumper from goddamn You Only Live Twice, I don't know, but I did enjoy it.
I'm glad you did. The only note I have is crow noises and two random French dudes. I mean, that there are crow noises up the wazoo in this episode.
Perfect segue there, Chris. Mike already knows where we're going with this. Another thing I like to point out in these episodes, the second season, are performers who probably don't have the spotlight shine on them enough. In this case, featured only once in this episode, but I think we all know it. It's about 25 years old at this point. Here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, you probably know that from everything. Most of these sound effects ended up being used on Sesame Street a lot. That's a Count Von Count, if I've heard one. Its actual name is Single Classic Wolf. although sometimes it's called Single Coyote, which I think is racist. The first appearance of it, this was created by the Disney Sound folks. It appeared in a segment called Bongo, which was part of Fun and Fancy Free in 1946. So there you go. We love you, Single Classic Wolf. You're joining Castle Thunder in the pantheon of sound effects here. I like this episode a little bit. I did like how off kilter it seems, and I don't know what's going on for so long. Like it had the feeling of the sort of abstract set at the beginning when they're all on these pads. We find ourselves at an asylum kind of, but everyone's outside and they're all groovy and they're on these pads that are wrapped around these trees, and it's really weird. All that stuff was disconcerting, and I was like really enjoying it. And then when we go meet the girl, who in this one, David Carradine is telling everyone that they have to go there. He's like trying to lure them out there to be killed, and he tells everyone who sees this girl is going to fall in love with her. And when we see her, it's like this Loretta Lynn wig that's been bottle blonded and like,
oh, her bangs are great.
Oh my
god, the bangs on that wig are just chef's kiss.
Spectacular. And the dress itself, this like voluminous like ball gown looking
I don't understand where you people are from, what time and place. that's all David McCallum needs to say. He's like, right, who the fuck are you? Like, I don't understand how anyone in their right mind would be like, oh, you clearly belong here. Mm-hmm. You are so out of time and out of place, it's beyond obvious. They don't even try.
The weird thing about that is it's like they could have, her parents are dressed. It could have been faked. It could be 1971. They're dressed basically in coveralls. They just look like poor farmers. Why, if that's what they were wearing in like 1871, why was she dressed not like them? Like she's not at a cotillion or anything. She's like dirt poor like her parents, and she's a werewolf. Why does she even have the dress? It doesn't make sense.
Is she a werewolf or is she a dog?
Well, they couldn't afford wolves.
They could afford dogs, though.
I was wondering about that, too. Because when they showed the dog, I was like, oh, the dog must be running away from the wolf. Because I kept hearing the wolf, and I was just like, why is this dog running away?
That's not a problem. This was like a 2-day shoot. And according to Jeannot Szwarc, like the dogs were like the nicest dogs in the world, and they wouldn't even want to chase anything anyway. So it's kind of impressive that they got any shots at all. But obviously, they're were-dog ghosts, I guess. They're wolvy ghostertons. I don't know.
Were-dog ghosts. Are you asking us a question?
You know what it reminds me of? There's a quote from Big Trouble in Little China. Egg Shen is like talking about all the different disciplines that they're all drawing from. And he's like, Buddhism and Confucianism, and we take what we want and leave the rest, like a salad bar. That's what this felt like to me. It's like, well, they are werewolves, so we'll put, you got to have the pentagram on the hand, but they're also ghosts. But
it is titled The Phantom Farmhouse, so there must be phantoms involved.
The phantom reasoning, the phantom logic. Like,
it felt like a really somehow poorly done. It feels like a poorly done episode of Tales from the Crypt, like an EC Comics story. That's what it feels like.
When they had all those people in the tree, I kept thinking, these are aspects of his personality, and they are fighting within his mind.
Wow, that would have been good.
And then when David Carradine came out of the tree, I was like, well, there goes that theory.
You were doing the episode's job for it, trying to make it more interesting than it ended up being.
Did you notice that when David Carradine hops down off of the thing, he tries to, and then they kind of curtail. Does he not say, cocaine, anyone? I swear to God, he says it twice. Like he said it, and I was like, you couldn't have heard that. They wouldn't have put that on television. And then at the end of the scene, he's like, cocaine, anyone? And then leaves. Maybe I'm wrong. I should read the script, but that's what I heard. Maybe that's what I wanted to hear.
That's what you wanted David Carradine to say.
It feels like he would share.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like a groovy guy. By the way, hippie slang seems so natural coming out of David Carradine. Like all of that dialogue could have been the worst if it weren't him. And like it was effortless. And I was like, oh, so that's how people talk instead of the awkward way people try to reproduce it.
Well, it's because David Carradine's a great actor.
Yeah, was.
Sorry.
He still is.
Sorry.
Damn it. And speaking of damn it, stop doing Day for Night, everybody. Stop doing Day for Night.
That was real rough.
You can't do a werewolf story and do day for night. Just don't even do it.
Yeah. Well, how long did you say they had for this? 5 days?
I don't know why they even tried.
2 days.
2 days. Jesus. Yeah. No wonder it looks so bad.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to get a big lighting package out there at like,
Right.
I think it's more impressive that it only took 2 days and that it's not a complete mess.
I think it's well shot. I think there's some poetical looking shots in there. Like
it's a nice looking episode.
When McCallum's first like venturing into the forest, like there's a scene of this lamb like running through the forest being pursued by the wolves, and it all looks gorgeous. It looks like a fairy tale. And then unfortunately we're right back to like, the universal lot with most obvious lighting in the world, the sun, just because they need it for speed. But like he managed to get a couple of like cool shots. There's another one sort of at the midpoint where they're on top of a hill where all the sheep, where McCallum walks down and sort of scares the sheep, which another gorgeous shot. There are little moments of beauty in these episodes, and at least this one did not in any way feel set bound.
If they had just turned the camera around, they probably would have seen the Bates Motel like behind them. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like where they like the older pictures of the Universal Backlot tour. That's what it looked like. The set, like the set that they were on. It looked like just out there in the Universal, like where they shoot stuff like this. It's
100%. I mean, it's like, where are you guys going to shoot? Over there. Look, this is not the best part of this one. It's okay. It didn't insult me. I was more confused. And then by the end, I didn't care.
Well, it kind of just ends.
Yeah.
It just kind of ends. And that's fine. But this is now, I think, I want to say there was an segment in the last episode that just kind of ended too. But it worked better that it just kind of ended. This one just goes, and that's it. It's like, okay. All right. I guess it's over now. Moving on.
Why even use wolves? Just make her a ghost that eats people. You know what I mean? Like, how about we're all vampires? Let's do vampires. That's a ghost and a werewolf together. Stop.
And vampires are what, like 5 cents? You just get the little teeth? That's it?
Yeah. If you even need the teeth. I mean, you just cover up the face, or, Catherine Deneuve and The Hunger.
We didn't mention the finger.
What's that?
The finger, the index finger that we got to see 100,000 times. That was a bit of a failure. I didn't like that at all.
She has a really long finger. Just a really long finger. Only werewolves have long fingers.
It's the index finger is as long or longer than the rest of the fingers. It's the traditional lore, but like, guys, we get it. We're not going to get a transformation sequence, and we only have dogs instead of wolves. But like, we don't need to feature the one thing you could afford. Stop.
They did it better on Kolchak with Tom Skerritt.
Yeah,
it's very similar. Like, they couldn't do werewolves in that episode, so he's a dog. So they're dogs here. All right, sure.
Much more.
That would have worked way better.
Episode though, the Kolchak episode.
Agreed.
Oh yeah, just for scares alone.
Astounding Tales of the Public Domain with Father Malone. Enhanced audio performances from the golden age of science fiction. Featuring tales by Ray Bradbury, Miriam Allen DeFord, Robert E. Howard, Paul Anderson, H.P. Lovecraft, and more. Hear it twice monthly at Weirding Way Media. Astounding Tales of the Public Domain with Father Malone. Weirding Way Media.
We deal in paint, pigment, light and shadow, realism, surrealism, impressionism, and ghost stories. An interest in the oddball, a predilection toward the bizarre. And this place is nothing if it isn't bizarre. There's no admission, no requirement of membership, only a strong and abiding belief in the dark at the top of the stairs, or things that go bump in the night. The name of this place, should you have come in here accidentally out of the rain, is the Night Gallery.
All right, welcome back, art lovers, to Midnight Viewing, the Night Gallery podcast. I'm Father Malone, and with me here in the gallery are, from Dreams for Sale, the Twilight Zone 85 podcast, Mr. Mike White.
Have we met before, monsieur?
And from Chronicles from the Crypt, the former casualty, Mr. Chris Stashew.
But what if we don't know if the doors are closed? If we could be good or bad?
Oh, we're going to get to that here. We are discussing Season 2, Episode 7. This one aired on November the 3rd, 1971, broken into 2 segments, Midnight Never Ends and Brenda.
Tonight's first selection, a painting suggesting solitude, or at least solemnity, as viewed during the midnight hour. It tells a tale of 2 young people caught inexorably in a recurring nightmare, with a finale on the jolting side. Our painting, with the somewhat familiar face, is called Midnight Never Ends, and this is the Night Gallery.
Now, Midnight Never Ends was written by Rod Serling based on a half dozen or so earlier teleplays by Rod Serling, like 5 Characters in Search of an Exit and A World of His Own. And it was directed by Jeannot Szwarc and stars Robert F. Lyons. Chris, he was in Transylvania 65000.
You know, Mike hates that movie too, right? It's not just me this time around that you get to waggle your Transylvania 65000 wiener.
You realized I'm outnumbered.
You are outnumbered this time. Heather Drain ain't here to help you, pal. And Trevor isn't either.
Heather, help me. It also stars Susan Strasberg, daughter of Lee Strasberg, who starred in my favorite TV movie of all time, Mazes and Monsters with Tom Hanks. And also stars Joseph Perry. It is the story of a motorist and a hitchhiker with the strange feeling that they've done all this before. And what is that strange clacking in the heavens? Mike, what'd you think of this one?
Oh man, I could see that twist coming a mile away, and boy, oh boy, did I really want it to not be that twist. But it was, and I sat through it, and I'm mad.
How about you, Chris?
You know, Father Malone.
God, he's winding up.
Yeah, I'm winding up. All right. I've been doing this for 8 years now, going on 9. It'll be 9 at the end of 2023. This may be one of the worst hours of anything I have ever had to watch for anything I've ever podcasted about. And you have been privy to a lot of bad stuff that we've talked about together, Father Malone. And we've been privy to bad stuff that we've all talked about together on the aforementioned Dreams for Sale. This is, without a doubt, one half of the worst episode of TV I may have ever seen, at least up until this point. This episode's twist is so foreshadowed, it's literally the painting. It's so fucking infantile in what the expectations are from you as an audience that they can't even be bothered with giving it an interesting twist. It is exactly what they say it's going to be. They don't even care about you as an audience enough to do something different other than exactly what you're expecting as an audience member. And the fact that it's Rod Serling, yeah, makes sense. Because at this point, Rod, I wish you would just go away.
That's mean.
Yeah, well, this episode segment is fucking awful. It's minimalist in a way that Marmalade Wine was, but it is as unsuccessful as the worst segment on the show, which is the next episode segment we're going to be talking about.
Just the central premise doesn't make sense.
Well, okay, Rod Serling's writing a script and we're watching it in real time. Cool.
But you wouldn't have your characters say, oh, he's going to open that door now, or like try to predict the future. It just...
Is that why he's confused in the painting, is because the characters in the thing are getting autonomy of their own? Father Malone, tell us what you think, because you haven't weighed in on this nightmare yet.
I liked it.
No, you did not. You didn't. You're fucking joking.
No, I kind of did, actually. I'll tell you why.
You're gonna have to, because I wouldn't believe you otherwise.
Okay. I mentioned 2 Serling scripts he wrote before that are basically the same thing. It's 5 Characters in Search of an Exit, which is great. It's a great episode. There's no question.
Which is kind of based on a earlier play,
yes.
Correct? Five actors in search of an author or something.
Yes, exactly. And the other one was A World of His Own, where an author can create anything he wants, and basically records it on a piece of tape. Remember that? And at the end, they had the little bit where Rod Serling comes in. He's like, this is all just a joke. He's like, Rod, you shouldn't say that. And he burns it up. The Keenan Wynn burns up the piece of tape and Rod Serling disappears. I knew where it was going and what it was going, but I just liked watching these people, and I liked those minimalist sets. Like, I thought it made more sense because it's a fragmentary world that these characters are living in, because the writer sucks and like just keeps rewriting them, and he's only ever rewriting them based on previous stories he had already included them in. So their confusion is like, I think I was a spy, but then she was just in an earlier story that he also discarded. In that aspect, I really liked it because I understood why the characters look, it doesn't make sense why they're suddenly conscious, because clearly somebody's writing them to say these things. So that's a conflict that doesn't make any sense at all. But the idea of characters kind of becoming sentient to the point where they know how poor they are because of how poor their author is, I like that idea a lot. I don't think it works overall. I think there are some shots that are kind of cool. I don't know. It didn't bother me as much as it bothered you guys. I certainly I wouldn't say anything in the last season, the season 7 of Tales from the Crypt, is better than this thing. This 20 minutes of whatever. Give me that, Chris.
No, I will. I mean, I'm not even going to pretend like what you said is wrong. Like, you're completely right. It's just what in anyone's mind, specifically Rod Serling, would lead you to believe that this is a story worth telling, though. That's what I don't understand. What is the point of this story for us to go? So when a writer is writing things, the characters have autonomy and remember? No, because that's just in this story. That's the case. This is not making some sort of grand ruling on fictional characters writ large. It's just this story. So it seemed kind of like the twist was what they were trying to get to, and they worked backwards from the twist, which is not a great way to write a script, right? The twist maybe is organic if there is one at all. There doesn't have to be one.
I mean, I love time loop stories. And at first I was hoping that this was a time loop story. I was like, oh, cool. Something different is happening this time. Okay. And so what's the trick? What's going on with this? And then when it was the character thing, one of my favorite movies of all time is John Paige's 1985 Crime Wave, which was released on video as The Big Crime Wave. And it's very much an author writing scripts. You get to see what's inside of like little snippets of scripts. He can write beginnings and he can write endings, but he can never come up with the middle. So he's very frustrated. And he comes up with like 3 or 4 different sets of characters, and they are recast into different things. And you get to see like Ronnie Boyle, the Elvis impersonator, and this story is this other character in this other story. Really well done. Like I said, one of my favorite things in the world. And then I see this and I'm just like, I've seen this done so many times, of these characters kind of becoming self-aware and all these things. And I'm just like, it's not handled well here. Like, I've seen it handled really well. And I've seen it handled in even like a Carol Burnett skit where I'm just like, okay, yeah, they are in control of the narrative type of thing. Interesting, but not good. And then, usually I love Carol Burnett. I just want to put that out there. But then you get something like this, and I'm just like, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it the right way. Make it one or the other. Is he controlling them? Or are they controlling him? Are they sentient? I wasn't happy with this one.
Even that Will Ferrell movie is better than this, and it has its problems.
Stranger than Fiction.
Yeah, it's the same premise. That. Like, this character exists separate from stories or in tandem with stories, or he's trying to figure that out, and how he exists. That's again, and there's something to be mined there. And it's not like this is like a blackout segment, and it's they didn't give him enough time. It's half of the goddamn episode. It's 20 minutes, so. They had plenty of time. They paired the time looping thing with something else, and I think it's one high concept thing or the other, and together they just don't work very well.
I don't disagree with any of that. If you're taking this on face value as the segment that it is, then it is a failure. Okay, I enjoyed it, but that doesn't mean it is good, and I would recommend it. I'm just saying I enjoyed it. But if you view it through the prism of where Rod Serling is right now, it's kind of great, because it seems like he's almost commenting on the fact that he keeps doing this. He doesn't even know where these characters are from anymore. He's just rewriting the same shit, and none of it's good. And where is his place in any of this? Like, where he is in his career and in this series, and if this is him working out his demons about where he has found himself in the Night Gallery, that makes me like it a lot. It doesn't work as a segment, but as sort of a socio-political examination of Rod Serling, I like it.
Hey, like I appreciate writing things as catharsis, but like what catharsis is there here? What are you getting at here? You can't write a coherent episode of your own show anymore. Yeah, we know. We're watching your show, dude. Like we're watching your show. Like we know it's not coherent. I like you said, like what is he commenting on other than himself?
Mm-hmm. Right. Look, it's indefensible as drama or as, a piece
entertainment.
Right. As a metatextual comment on his own state of confusion, though, I think it soars.
But then we'll probably get an episode from him next time we talk about episode 8 that may or may not be good. So what is he commenting on other than he can't do it and he keeps not being able to do it? So what are you really commenting on, Rod Serling? I don't understand. I can't do it, but I'm going to keep not doing it and wasting your time.
Yeah, if this were for this last episode, though, it would be great.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We kind of ran into a similar thing on Barney Miller where they had Jack Sue they had an opportunity for him to be done with the show and they didn't take it. And this would be, if this were Rod Serling's final moment on the show, then that would be a masterstroke, but it's not. So it's about as far from it being his last thing with the show as possible.
Yeah, let's just shuffle this down to the end of season 3 and then.
Right.
Could this have worked as a Twilight Zone episode?
It did. It worked a couple of times as a Twilight.
So there you go.
Before we get to the next segment, this is this season I've been highlighting talent behind the Night Gallery. This season we're getting 2 stories written by this man, including the next segment. I don't think anyone even remotely interested in speculative fiction would not know him. But if you don't, then do yourself a favor and seek out anything by Richard Matheson. His association with Night Gallery is obvious. He was one of the original contributors to The Twilight Zone from the very first season. But by the time Serling hired him in 1959, Matheson had already published nearly 100 short stories and 6 novels, including The Shrinking Man, which became The Incredible Shrinking Man, and I Am Legend, just minor works like that. He ran in a circle of writers known as The Group, or the Southern California School of Writers, that consisted of Matheson, George Clayton Johnson, William F. Nolan, Charles Beaumont, and Ray Bradbury. During his tenure at the Twilight Zone, he penned Nick of Time, The Invaders, and Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. He was the screenwriter behind a clutch of Corman Poe movies like House of Usher and Pit and the Pendulum and Comedy of Terrors. Around the time that he did his work here on Night Gallery, he 100% transformed a rather slight novel by Jeff Price into the greatest paranormal journalist of all time in Carl Kolchak, because he wrote Night Stalker and Night Strangler and Trilogy of Terror. My God, it's too much, and I'm only scratching the surface. So I just want to exhort you to go out and read Richard Matheson. And even if none of his work interests you, you should still be thankful for him, because without him there'd be no Wild Stallions and no Being Excellent to Each Other, because his son Richard Christian Matheson is one of the co-creators of Bill and Ted.
I was about to say, is Richard Matheson's greatest contribution to the Twilight Zone is the segment that gets remade every time they do the goddamn show, is what it feels like. And it's the segment that I, for whatever reason, in my mind, closely associate the Twilight Zone with Shatner and Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. That's the Twilight Zone segment for me personally. And so I am always thankful that Richard Matheson was the one who did it, because yeah, I mean, I Am Legend gets a bad rap now because of, the movie that came out that more people, I think, have seen than any other I Am Legend property. But the book is so good. We've talked about it before. I don't know if it was here or on Twilight Zone or something, but they have yet to adapt it the right way where the actual fucking title of that book makes sense. Right. They have yet to make the name of the book make sense in terms of the story. But I think it's one of the great sci-fi novels, period.
100%. I mean, you can't deny the power of that book. And the as you said, it's how have they not come up with a decent filmed version of it? It's such a simple little story, and yet every time they do it, they either do it too small or too big. Or okay, the Omega Man's great. There's no question the Omega Man is great, but as its own thing, not necessarily as an adaptation of I Am Legend. At least they changed the title.
Who is the legend? Tell us who the legend is, please.
I'm sure, Father Malone, you've seen The Last Man on Earth, the one with Vincent Price.
Oh, yes. Which I like as well, too.
Yeah, I think that's as close as we're ever going to get.
Yeah, because, in the book, it's very small scale. It's just him and his Pasadena house, and like there's no grand mansion he's in or no, high rise in New York. I don't know what any of the adaptations are going for, honestly. They all seem to miss the point, which is just one man, a normal dude who has to figure this stuff out on his own. He's not a scientist or anything. He just has to he just has to work hard to figure out his situation, and by then it's too late. Anyway. The next time they make I Am Legend, they should make it for $2 million, and then they have a chance of making it as good as it can be.
I mean, it's better to just expand the scope of the source material to the point where it's completely unrecognizable, and then it didn't even matter you were adapting it to begin with. I like that more, frankly.
Yeah, I want Elk running through Times Square and some sort of video game adaptation version.
Yeah. Little nod to Batman v Superman in the background. Yeah, why not?
Oh my God, I forgot about that. What a nightmare of reality we actually live in now.
Our painting reminds us that there's a strange fascination to digging holes alongside ancient oaks. You give the average man a shovel and an X on a map, and the fantasies come thick and fast. Pirate gold, hidden Confederate treasure, and sometimes the unexpected. And sometimes the unwelcome. Hence the title, Big Surprise.
Now, our next segment is written by Richard Matheson, based on his short story, directed by Jeannot Szwarc. It is called Big Surprise, starring Vincent Van Patten, who is our second Rock and Roll High School alum for this season, Mark Vahanian, who I'll always know as Lolly 2 and Bless the Beast and Children, Eric Chase, and Mr. John Carradine. This is a tale of three boys befriended by a crazy old hermit who promises them a big surprise if they can dig it up. What'd you think of this one, Mike?
It's short. It's pretty simple. I'm not sure if I really got the twist at the end. It feels like this would have freaked me out when I was a kid, and I would have probably spent a lot of time thinking about it. Now that I'm 50 years old, I'm just like, I can't really be bothered.
What about you, Chris?
You know how A Matter of Semantics was a 1-panel comic? This is like 3.
Yes.
This is a 3-panel comic. I don't know. Like, John Carradine is sufficiently creepy, but the fact that this is a short story is more surprising that Richard Matheson was able to wring as much out of this premise as he could from it being a short story, because there's barely anything here. It is really an old man tells a group of kids to dig. Those kids don't want to follow the kid who's blindly digging. And then the old man is in the box at the end. Like, there you go. Like, I'm not even sure what the story was. How do you turn that? How is that a short story? Let alone, how is that a 10-minute segment in this show?
A short story can be like 5 pages,
I don't know how you get 5 pages out of this is more what I'm getting at. This is like one
You should read some
page.
Richard Matheson.
I can imagine you get that
writer.
inner dialogue of the kids
Yeah.
going, there's probably something really valuable here. And just everybody has their own ideas of what's going to be that buried treasure. And then when it finally happens and describing the hot sun beating down on them and yada, yada, yada. Like, I could see this being a short story, but it was just, there wasn't a whole lot of substance to this one for me.
There's a skeleton of a good idea here. It's just to what end? It feels like this is a good setup for something, but I'm not sure the punchline is as funny or as interesting as maybe everyone else thought it was, Richard Matheson included.
Gentlemen, this is my favorite segment of the entire run of Night Gallery. I set it up at the top. Right place, right time. I think I saw this when I was maybe 10 or 11 years old. And yes, I spent many years pondering the meaning of this. Still haven't figured it out. But that obviously colors my judgment of it. Nevertheless, watching it like 2, 3, 4 times I did for tonight's recording here. I still love it. I think it's one of the best things on the show. Like the way it's shot, nothing feels set bound. All the performances are good. The music, which I really paid attention to the music, and we're going to have to talk about Gil Millet at some point because he came up with a lot of he like made a lot of instruments. So sometimes when you think you're hearing a waterphone or a synth, it's actually something that he's Frankenstein together. But I really like the music in this episode. It starts off almost comic with like brass, but by the time they're digging, it's all bongos and these like shrieking violins. And by the end, it's just nothing but a sawing cello and this waterphone synth combination. It's fantastic. I love it. There are shots in it that I absolutely adore. Like, I mean, at the start of this is, you know, kids daring each other and you know, peer pressure and whatever. Like they don't want to, like the old man's calling them over and they're calling each other chicken for not going over. And the lead kid, while he's deciding if he's going to go over and talk to old Mr. Hawkins, the shot is of him in the background, but in the foreground is the other kid, the Lolly 2 kid, his yo-yo just sort of dropping up and down in the frame. And it's just, I don't know, it just summed it up for me. I do need to say that if aliens are receiving television broadcasts from us in deep space, then I think they think the entirety of America looks like the hills just outside Los Angeles. That's the only failing for me in the episode, is once again we get the same sort of, well, we can drive 20 minutes and make it look different than the backlot. But at least they did that, because it doesn't look like the backlot to me. I think the ending works because Carradine is so fucking creepy. I want to speak to what you said, Chris, because I thought it too when I was watching it. Like, this is effectively a Blackout sketch. It does now make me wish that all of the Blackout sketches were this, you know, like I enjoy laughing at Dracula as much as the next guy, but if you want to have an interstitial be this, then it would have elevated the whole series up.
And honestly, that's kind of where I came away from this specific segment, because we haven't gotten a lot of these kind of segments. Not a complete committal to it being half of the episode and not it being, you know, a Blackout sketch in between. We haven't gotten a lot of those on the show. And I feel like that's an untapped opportunity for the show makers and showrunners and writers to do something that's more in between, not a complete narrative, but also not just, you know, yuck, there's a vampire sucking somebody's neck. And that this kind of occupies that interesting middle ground made me appreciate this segment more than it might have if it had been just a Blackout segment. Because again, the opportunity for this to be a Blackout segment is there. Like if they just cut some of this out, it really is just a Blackout segment. The fact that it's not, and that it's a little bit more than that, makes this one that I can completely understand where you're coming from, why it hit just right at the right time for you.
Yeah, and you know, I was basically the age of these kids, and there's, you know, it felt at the time like it understood childhood. It still feels that way to me. Like Serling at the stop in his intro for it, I thought he summed it up really well. He talks about, you know, childhood being obsessed with like buried treasure, and X marks a spot. And like there is a time in your life when that potential for adventure exists in your head, and like maybe if I dig, I will find some treasure. You know. I'm just going to keep praising it over and over again. I did, like I said, turn the ending over and over again in my head. Like, I still don't know. Like, was he a ghost the whole time? Was he buried alive and that was his spectral form? Like, is he just some crazy old man who's dug a tunnel from his house to this thing? And I don't know. It, like, every possibility is terrible. So that, I don't know. I love this one.
Painting number 1. It has to do with death. Usually the last chapter in every man's book of life. The ashes and the dust, the tomb, and the engraving on the stone. Death, the finale. But our first painting offers up a tale with the final curtain not quite the final curtain. There's an epilogue. We offer you now a little item called Cool Air. Tonight's first painting in the Night Gallery.
Cool Air was written by Rod Serling, from a short story by H.P. Lovecraft, and directed by Jeannot Szwarc. 22 segments, gentlemen. Jeannot Szwarc, 22 segments.
At least it's not Gene Kearney.
Wow.
Thank God it's not Gene Kearney doing 22 segments. I think I would lose my mind. This one stars Henry Darrow, Barbara Rush, who, by the way, appeared in a TV movie called The Man, which was about the first black president, starring James Earl Jones. Written by Rod Serling.
Oh, yes.
Written by Rod Serling.
Such a great movie.
This is the tale of a May-December romance. What'd you think of this one, Mike?
It left me cold.
Oh, bing bang! I'll set him up. You knock him.
Yes, I was waiting for that rim shot there, Chris.
Soundboard. Yeah,
there we go.
A little late on the
Nailed
uptake
it.
around here. We just got the soundboard.
Yeah, we're back in HP Lovecraft territory, though. Again, I can tell what's going on. Why are we supposed to not figure this stuff out? Like, yeah, the guy's dead. Like, I could tell you that right from the get-go. I don't know. I really wanted to like this one. Maybe if it was like half the length, I would have liked it a little bit more, but at the length that it was, and just that I could see the twist coming, yeah, it did. No joke, it did leave me cold.
Boy, they love H.P. Lovecraft, don't they? They really, really do. I mean, look, I'm not going to say, oh, what a weird H.P. Lovecraft story to adapt. Because, look, H.P. Lovecraft in a lot of ways is like Stephen King. Like, he's got plenty of things to adapt, folks, and they're not all winners for a reason. Whatever the fuck the conceit of this episode is, that there is a man who is a living corpse because he lives in an icebox. You know what? Sure, fine, whatever. But that's like a 10-minute episode segment, not a 20-minute segment. Like, good Lord. And I'm, not to jump ahead, but I'm not sure that criticism is not going to be leveled against both of these segments. I think they're both too long for what they're trying to do. I think this one is way too long for what the punchline is. And look, I'm not saying the punchline doesn't work. It's sufficiently campy and kind of goofy, but way too long. Just way too.
Well, it also doesn't help that it feels so similar to the one we just talked about on our last episode with the woman that was. Oh wait, was that the one? Was it a woman that was being menaced by that thing, or am I completely mixing these up?
In Pickman's model,
Right,
yeah,
with
it's
Pickman's
Also H.P. Lovecraft.
Right, and it's like basically a woman comes in and it's just like, oh, what is this stuff? And then, oh, there's a big monster or a big twist, quote unquote, at the end.
Yeah, it's a shame that they're on the heels of one another, because the romance aspect is not present in the original H.P. Lovecraft story, and I actually think it's an improvement by Rod Serling in that regard. And if you read the original story, there's a lot of like, he's supposed to be from Spain, so it's all phonetically written like, oh, a little Leetle. It's very embarrassing. Henry Darrow here, he's 5 years younger than Barbara Rush, playing a dashing older man. I liked him. I liked his performance a lot. I thought Barbara Rush was really good. There's another unnecessary wraparound, just like the Pickman's model in the last one, which starts in the present for no reason and then takes us back. Like that to me is the lamest part of it, is the Serling concoction that we're going to see the leaves blow off the top of the gravestone at the end and realize he's been dead twice. By the way, who put that there? She put that there? Why would that be on there? Weirdest thing ever. By the way, his name is misspelled on the grave.
High production values abound at midnight at the Night Gallery podcast. I guess this isn't the podcast has high production values. This show doesn't. Is this the backlot again? You think?
Oh, speaking of the backlot and high production value, at one point, like this starts, it's a period piece. It's set in the 1920s, and she's in the back of what is basically a horseless carriage as driving down the street, and in the background, the street is blocked off by a Universal Studios van. Oops.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, what are you implying, Father Malone?
Maybe shoot the scene at night.
I thought you were. What are you implying that this
maybe
is?
Put a fruit stand back there, or like two guys carrying a pane of glass. Anything other than a vehicle from 1971 just sitting there, going like, "Hey, folks, the tour is right this way."
Hey, who was asleep at the wheel at this point? That's the question.
I blame Jeannot, but Jeannot did do something really cool here. There's a conversation scene when they're sort of falling in love. It's a 1.5-minute pan around the dinner table, there's a join in it, but it's really masterful considering all the other limitations that they're sort of saddled with. Also, the music in this episode, this was a guest composer, a guy named Robert Bain. He was an LA session musician. Was actually Henry Mancini's guitarist, and he was specifically chosen by Laird to do a Spanish flavored theme for this episode, and actually works really well as far as I'm concerned. Is this episode about because Serling made it a romance? Is this now a tale of necrophilia?
Jesus. Necromantic, written by Rod Serling.
I'm just saying.
I mean, if we're talking literally, then yes.
Well, all right. Good for you, Rod.
H.P. Lovecraft was into some freaky shit.
Lovecraft didn't have anything to do with that part of it. That's all Serling.
Yeah, but I mean, the concept, though, it still lends itself in that direction.
The concept of necrophilia just goes way back to the beginning of civilization. We always had it with us. It just took Rod Serling to really popularize it. Use it in between commercials for soap.
Exactly.
I only use Ajax when I clean my bathroom. Now back to necrophilia.
It's the most romantic presentation of necrophilia I've ever seen. I was moved.
When you think about it that way, boy, it really puts it all in perspective, doesn't it? You know what? Hey, I wish the payoff was in an episode segment half the length. That's really it. Like, it's not a bad segment. I just don't think it gets to the point fast enough. And also, like, you're stalling as if we can't kind of figure out what's going on. Like, was anyone surprised at the end that he was a corpse? Like, they kind of, hint at it a lot. Like, a lot.
A lot.
A lot, yeah.
Also, this episode does contain, I think, the single worst performance in any segment we've seen thus far, which is that handyman, ice carrying guy, whoever he is. What's with the guy in there with he's got ice in the bathroom, just pulling all these faces like he's, I don't know, like he's auditioning for a Marx Brothers.
He's late stage Leslie Nielsen.
Boy, he was bad.
Item number 3 in the night gallery. You probably recognize this quaint figurine. The dead eyes, the sewn lips, the kind of thing that usually infests nightmares. And that happens to be precisely what it is. A nightmare of the first order. Its title, Lagoda's Heads.
Indeed, we are in this segment called Lagoda's Heads, written by Robert Bloch, author of Psycho, Robert Bloch. From a short story by August Derleth, directed by my favorite, Jeannot Szwarc. All three of them should have known better. This one stars Patrick McNee, Brock Peters, Denise Nicholas, and Tim Matheson, and a terrible mustache. It's the tale of an explorer who escorts an American in search of his brother in the darkest jungles of Africa. I was really worried at the outset on this one, guys, but I think this was a respectful presentation. As respectful a presentation as possible, while still requiring Starfleet Admiral Cartwright to speak in pidgin English while wearing a dashiki. What do you think of this one, Mike?
Yeah, anything that has Brock Peters in it, I'm pretty happy with, but mostly just when he's on screen. Denise Nicholas, she looked so familiar. And then I went back and I looked at her filmography, and yeah, I've seen a bunch of stuff that she was in. I want to say she was in Uptown Saturday Night, I'm pretty sure, or yeah, Let's Do It Again, one of those of the Cosby Poitier films. But yeah, again, did I see the twist coming? Yeah, I sure did. Did I want to see more of those heads, and did I want to see them talk and do other kind of cool things? I sure did at that. Didn't really get to see that one, but at least I got to see a very young Roger E. Mosley with kind of a bad accent come in and tell them that Lagoda has died. So it was kind of neat. And then, yeah, Tim Matheson and that ridiculous mustache. I didn't even recognize him at first until I heard his voice.
Otter?
Yeah. But yeah, it was okay. Again, I feel like this one went on for a little too long. How long was this one? Was this another 22 minutes?
It felt like it. No, this one was only 10.
Right?
This has been an episode with mediocrity. It's fine. I mean, again, like Mike said, the twist can be seen from orbit, for fuck's sake. Like, Let me put it this way: for an episode segment called Lagoda's Heads, there is not enough head here. There aren't enough of the heads doing stuff. The heads of Lagoda's heads are not present enough to call it Lagoda's Heads. And the question then becomes, how did the heads kill him?
They summoned forces, or they chewed him up themselves. I don't know. Maybe they came off the wall.
The second answer is the better answer.
That's the one you want. The Elfman version.
It came off the log. Exactly. The Tim Burtonization of him. Yeah. What about you, Father Malone? What'd you think?
I think having a shrunken head nook is important when you're buying a new home.
Does it come with or without the stick? Is the stick included?
I would assume so. Otherwise, it's just a nook. I like that they arrive. It's always great to see Patrick McNee, by the way, John Steed. But they go into the hut to talk to Lagoda, and Lagoda clearly speaks English. But for some reason, Tim Matheson keeps talking to Patrick McNee as if he's a translator. Ask him about my brother. Like, I think he heard you just then. He'll probably answer you if he so chooses. Also, late in the episode, Tim Matheson exclaims at one point, and while most people would have said, my God, he says, "Mother of Satan." I had to rewind it.
That'd be a good sound.
Absolutely.
Clip to use, I think.
By the way, is Dumbala just the word? I kept waiting for Chunky to come running out because they said Dumbala while they were, talking to the heads. I don't know. Not enough. There weren't enough of the heads. I was intrigued by the heads. I was hoping one of the heads would come to life. Just one of them. At least one.
Well, you said it's called Lagoda's head.
It was his brother's
head. It's called Lagoda's fucking head.
Instead,
It's like, show the thing.
Lagoda's head's wind machine is what we get. Just like, they all just sort of vibrate a little and hear some sounds. And
somebody's just shaking it off screen. Just, they're moving.
The actor you mentioned, Mike, earlier, who comes in to tell them that Lagoda is dead, and you're saying he's doing a really weird accent. Like, all I could think was, like, you could just see him bristling against this bullshit native dialogue that they, all three of our sort of principal leads, have been saddled with, just rankling at it. Like, can I just speak in a full sentence? Like, yeah. By the way, what year was this? Was this supposed to be the turn of the century? Because it could have been really any time. It might have been 1971 for all we knew.
Yeah, I want to say around this time, Roger E. Mosley was doing The Mac, where he was a African nationalist. So much different character, and something I think he...
Yeah, he just seemed like uninterested. He just wanted to, I'm saying the words. Here are the words. Right? This is what you wanted. And good for him. Yeah.
Now where's my check?
I hope everyone got paid because, you're right, Chris. It's not terrible. It's just there. This entire episode was just kind of there, which I suppose is better than a bad episode, but still, this is an episode that began with the boy who predicted earthquakes, and we need to be shooting higher, folks. It's not enough. It's not enough that Sandra Dee is going to die after killing her husband. It's just not.
She's going to kill herself. Don't forget. She straight up, they go, "Oh, you're going to kill yourself," by the way. Like, great. Cool.
Just it's the first, like, sort of time travel plot I've ever seen, honestly, where the characters are uninterested at all in changing their fate.
I know the future. Who fucking cares?
They just see it, and everything's just like, well, that's weird. Like, it doesn't affect her at all. He gives the message, but the message had already been given. That was faded as well. It's like,
this segment is so good. We're talking about the other segment while talking about this one.
Well, we're kind of wrapping
This segment is such a nothing burger. Like, August Derleth's stories are varied. Father Malone, you know that because I know you've looked into his. I mean, it's varied stuff, right? Like, but it's a lot of horror or horror adjacent. Whatever this is not that.
Well, it's supposed to be a supernatural tale, but we don't see anything happen at all. We don't even get to see.
For all we know, Denise Nicholas just killed him, and just put his head there anyways. Right. Like, who knows? Oh yeah, the heads killed him, or I just did it, and who gives a shit? Like,
it would have been good had she said, "Well, no, it was me. I killed your brother. He didn't have anything to do with it. There's nothing you can do about it because I got these heads now, baby." Right. That would have been great. Yeah. Instead, it was like, "No, I know he killed. Why did he kill him?"
Our central premise.
We don't get any of that information. Get those heads talking. Come on, they got mouths. Unstitch it.
Meh. It's fine. This episode is better than some of them this season, which is not saying much, but it's saying more than you would think.
It's saying enough.
Yeah, I agree. It is. You use the word nothing burger. I don't tend to use that too often, but I would say this is all that and no bag of chips.
General generic area of costume jewelry. Note girl and note expression. Obviously a lady much disturbed by whatever little bauble she has recently been the recipient of. A said sentence improperly ending on a preposition. But this story ending on a much more deadly note than that. We call it A Feast of Blood.
All right, our next segment is A Feast of Blood. This was written by Stanford Whitmore, based on the short story The Fur Brooch by Dulcie Gray, and directed by Jeannot Szwarc. This one stars Norman Lloyd, Sandra Locke, and Hermione Badley. It's the story of a young woman and a rather ominous suitor and the weird brooch he offers her as a present. I'll start on this one here, if you don't mind, fellas.
Thank you.
All right. Norman Lloyd. I'm going to start with the good things that I like in this segment. Norman Lloyd, who I think most people of my age, maybe a little bit older, know him from Saint Elsewhere, which he was great on. But in the decade previous, he was a producer on Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which I did not know. And the weird sort of incestuous Night Gallery connection with this guy is that Jack Laird produced a pilot for a television series called The Dark Intruder that ended up getting released theatrically. Just the pilot got released. In that, there's the villain is Dr. Malachi, who's portrayed on screen by Werner Klemperer and voiced by Norman Lloyd. That's weird. Yeah. Sandra Locke, who the year before had been nominated for an Academy Award, actually sought out a role on Night Gallery because she was such a fan of The Twilight Zone and Rod Serling. So that's the first time I've heard of an actor trying to get on the show that they didn't have to go find. Other than that, the performances are good, somewhat. Norman Lloyd is fantastically menacing. The brooch is creepy and weird that he gives her. The story is that this suitor shows up and gives this girl who doesn't really care about him this brooch. It's a little rodent, and then she spurns him, and then the brooch grows big. Oh boy, does it grow big! And it chews her, I guess, a little bit, and then it returns to its normal size, and this guy performs the same bit again.
Comically large, one might say.
Yeah.
Is the message here that everyone is terrible? Because everyone in this episode is terrible. This guy's basically a rapist, and if you don't fuck him, then his magic brooch is going to kill you, right? Mm-hmm. That's what happens here.
Was he not like stealing their like beauty too? Was that not a component to this, or was that me reading in?
That was him. Just talking kooky talk, but like
okay, because I thought there was like a Tales from the Crypt thing. You know what I'm talking about, Father Malone, where it's like I made the bust of your face and I stole your beauty. Like that's what I thought it was, and then no, it's just this giant goofy ass brooch, like goofy looking. Like it reminded me. This episode segment reminded me of the one with Jack Cassidy and the giant spider.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, look at this giant thing that we can't make look good, but we're going with it anyways. Like, God, come on. This is Kolchak fighting an invisible monster levels of fucking wild. Like, come on, guys.
It's ghillie-suited Brenda Man.
It's just such a...
That's not true. It's better than ghillie-suited Brenda Man, because the design is cool. And even as goofy as it is, that it just keeps getting larger, and they keep doing wide shots of her running. What's wrong with you, Jeannot? Wide shots of her running with this giant, like gummy bear. That's all I could think. It looked like a giant gummy bear. Like, what do you have to fear? You could eat it.
I think the worst thing about this episode segment is that the painting is so good.
Oh, well, I'm obviously a big fan of that painting. I think
me too. I'm a fan of that painting as well. And like, again, it like the last, or I guess the first episode segment on this episode, like it makes a promise of something that is not followed through on. Like I don't understand what the point of this segment was, other than like you said, Father Malone, everybody's terrible.
How about you, Mike? Yeah. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I was impressed. So this might be controversial, but I've never found Sandra Locke to be that attractive. But in this, I was like, oh, I can kind of see it. I can kind of see that she's attractive in this one. And then she gets attacked by a brooch. The end.
The blackout extravaganza this episode, really.
It is. And yeah, like he is this essentially a rapist. So I was like, okay. Yeah, I was waiting for him to get his comeuppance at the end. Like somehow she survives and gifts it back to him, but that's not the case.
Interesting optics for this episode segment.
Mm-hmm.
Our hero is a rapist.
Are we too woke?
Sorry. I'll leave. The wokester needs to leave. Sorry.
Yeah.
So what's with Sandra Locke and rodents? She restricted that rat boy. She was in Willard. She got killed by a giant rodent in this. She loves rodents. They had some rear screen projection when they were driving. I loved it. It looked great. And Night for Night again. How do you like that? Twice in one episode. At the end, okay, this should have been a blackout sketch. It should have been just a girl breaking up with a guy on the phone. He's like, did you get that gift I sent you? And she's like, I don't want to see you. You're an idiot. I used you for your money and blah, blah, blah. And then she gets killed. That would have been it. That would have been okay. At the end, we have these two bicyclists, these Englishmen. Their characters' names are Frankie and Jippo. And apparently the characters were named for two characters in John Ford's The Informer. That's totally inconsequential as the characters are, because why are they even there? Why are we spending any time with them at all?
They can find a dead body, that's why. And then the episode segment ends.
If only the camera could have done that for us.
Yeah.
That is the funniest part of the segment, is that camera angle, where it's like set on the ground in front of her, pointed at them, but you can't see anything, and they're just like, whoa. Yeah, that's great, guys. Great reactions. We got it. We're done. Jeannot Szwarc is not doing any favors for any of these segments at all. Like, I don't think I've seen one yet where I've been like, Jeannot Szwarc added something to this. Most of the time, Jeannot Szwarc's name is tied to the worst episode segments that we're watching.
Hey, don't talk about Jeannot that way. I won't stand for it, even if I'm sitting.
You know what? Jaws 2 is fine. This leaves a lot to be desired.
It wasn't great.
It's a blackout sketch. I mean, it's unfortunate that we just keep getting extended blackout sketches, because this show is good when it is good, when they're putting effort in. That is the problem. It's just like Tales from the Crypt. It's just like Twilight Zone 1985. When it's good and the people who are doing the work well, it's really good, and there's nothing better anthology-wise. When it's bad, it's like everybody collectively lost their fucking minds.
The problem here is that Rod Serling's way was wrong and Jack Laird's way is wrong. There was somewhere in between. It had they mediated and worked it out, where this show could have been the best horror anthology of all time.
Right.
Because if Rod Serling was writing blackout sketches, that could be something. He could get his little bitter, ironic thing out in a couple of minutes, as opposed to, they should have just assigned him all the 12-minute segments for this entire thing. It would have been great. Would have forced him to be concise as a writer.
If he's not willing to do the introductions for the blackout sketches, he ain't willing to fucking write them, right? Like, certainly it's probably... It's beneath me.
I'm not saying he should have been assigned them necessarily. I'm just saying, had they worked it out, then this show
would have been
phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, a Twilight Zone for the 70s, like, that's what the promise of this show is.
And could have grown into that.
Right. And when it satisfies that, it really satisfies it. But it's few and far between in this second season. But again, like, there's, you know what, though, like, in reality, if you take a step back, every episode has multiple segments. So we're talking about, by the end of the show, how many segments? Like, almost 100.
Oh, yeah.
Law of averages would denote 50% are good, 50% are bad. And I think we're still right there.
There hasn't been a precipitous drop-off. It's definitely better than the first season, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It has ups and downs, but once you got past the pilot of the first season, it was a law of diminishing returns. There were little pleasures to be had here and there, but certainly not like this season. So,
well, and I mean, again, when this season opens with the banger of bangers, The Boy Who Predicted Earthquakes. I mean, again, like that, it might be the best segment on this entire show, and it opens the second season. Like,
yeah.
hard to measure up to, but at the same time, like
At least it wasn't the first episode of the first season like Twilight or Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
I'll take an episode like this one of basically extended Blackout sketches over one segment of they're tearing down Tim Riley's bar. So
thank you. There is, we should start like how they have like a job site. It's like one day without disaster. There should be one episode without for he's a jolly good fellow.
Oh my God! Right? All our reviews would be glowing from here on in.
Yeah.
And remember, gents, this was not tearing down Tim Riley's bar.
God.
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Deaf Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.